just to get, gentlemen, your quick reactions to that. Rahul, are you surprised, as someone who's tracked elections for years, that instead of the process getting shorter, it's getting more and more elongated? Maharashtra used to have 1 or 2 phases at best. Now it's 5 phases even in Maharashtra.
Thank you, Rajdeep. Absolutely. There was a hope that slowly the number of phases are going to be reduced. Earlier, for last 2 general elections, we had 7 phases. And the idea was, with technology and everything, the number of phases should get reduced. But that doesn't seem to be happening. Maybe Election Commission has its own rationale why they have these many phases that has never been shared with public. They only tell us that it's security reasons, and because you have to move logistics from one place to the other, that's why you require this kind of 2-month long election cycle. But having, as you rightly pointed out, Maharashtra stretching it to 5 phases, it doesn't make sense. I also don't see any political reason. So, of course, there are going to be conspiracy theories floating around that elections have been, designed in a way to benefit one party or the other. Given the way it has been structured, the way I'm seeing the 7 phases, and especially elections are starting from the south, they're less likely of that kind of thing happening. But, we'll hear all kinds of voices in next 2 months.
Rajat Sethi, you have any answers to that? A state like Maharashtra, one can understand Bengal in recent times has had a history of violence. Therefore, you go in for 7 phases. Uttar Pradesh is India's most populous state, with pockets having had violence. Bihar has had a history of violence, so you have 7 phases. Maharashtra, 5 phases in a state that has a history of virtually no political violence. It almost seems as if you're making the politicians really sweat it out in the summer.
See, well, it is also a very big state. It is the second largest state when it comes to parliamentary seats. It has 48 seats only after Uttar Pradesh. I think historically also there have always been 4 phases or so in Maharashtra.
2 phases. There used to be. I can promise you, as someone who's tracked, there used to be 2 phases for the longest time in the 1990s. That's my point. Instead of making elections tighter, we are actually making them more and more elongated. That's my worry.
Well, this is where I think the Election Commission would be best placed to sort of explain this situation. But if you were to draw certain conclusions out of this, I think Maharashtra, the first set of seats are going to be in Vidarbha. The bordering areas of Chhattisgarh and Gadchiroli belt, Chemur belt, all that is going in the first phase. So they are also trying to plan the election so that all the critical security regions are dealt with at first with a heavy concentration of security forces. And then the security forces movement is a little eased out, and they are then allowed to cover broader geographies within Maharashtra. I think this plus there is, certain reports that Maratha agitation has been, might turn into a little more violent because they haven't seen a closure on their reservation quest so far. So perhaps this could be an added sort of an X factor, which the Election Commission would have thought that, with Jalange Patil and his supporters getting a little more riled up, there might be some violence on the ground. So maybe that, that's the only logic that I can think of.
Just to say that it used to be 2 phases in the 90s. Last time it was 4. So from 4 we've got to 5.
I told you.
So, it's gone longer and longer. But yes, Javed Ansari.
This 7th phase doesn't make sense, Rajdeep. And it flies in the face of assertions made by the Election Commission and the government that we want to bring down poll expenditure. What it practically means is that even for those who are going to poll on the 1st of June, Eastern UP and all that, the candidates will have, for them, the campaign starts from tomorrow. The clock starts ticking from tomorrow. It places a huge financial burden on them. Tamil Nadu, the campaigning will be over in a jiffy.
Yes.
But for those in Eastern UP and elsewhere, and we are talking of one nation, one poll. First, at least hold polls in one day across the country, even if you cannot. In a state like UP, 7 days is mind-boggling. Why should it be? You can hold it in 3 phases.
No, I agree with you, Javed Ansari. all I can promise our viewers, we'll now have 7 episodes of elections on my plate. We had said we would have 1 episode of elections on my plate per phase. So I'm not completely complaining, Javed, since you will now get 7 episodes of that. But you make a good point about financial burden. You actually believe that this extended, elongated phase puts even more pressure on politicians in terms of finances. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Just imagine the constituencies that are going to poll on 25th May and 1st June. They have to start campaigning from tomorrow, if they haven't already started. And they need to, get the jeeps running and get everything else going, campaign offices. This is going to place a huge financial burden on candidates. And, the election commissioner must also be, more forthcoming. When asked about not playing a level playing field, he seemed miffed at that question. Caesar's wife must not, you have to be seen to be fair also. If somebody is asking you a question, reporters have every right to ask. You need to satisfy a person's curiosity rather than get miffed at this.